Welcome to the video where we're going to talk about the ecosystem of consulting. अब इस वीडियो में I was thinking right कि भाई क्या क्या cover करना चाहिए. So after not a thorough analysis, I figured out that I should be talking about the verticals, horizontals, the company in the consulting space, and then the roles that are there. Now, when I say roles, I'm not essentially talking about the designations or different levels that it has, but we'll talk about it when we come there. So let's start with verticals. अब verticals अगर तुम्हें नहीं पता है तो verticals का मतलब होता है कंसल्टिंग स्पेस में या फिर आई थिंक ओवरऑल इंडस्ट्री में verticals का मतलब होता है इंडस्ट्री. मतलब तो हो सकता है कंज्यूमर प्रोडक्ट एंड रिटेल, automotive, EUR, which is energy and utilities, and other stuff, 4, 5, whatever, right? Different industries. जो horizontal होता है वो होता है mostly function, which is let's say procurement, supply chain. इसके आगे हार्ड बना देते हैं because this is what I do. Sustainability, digital and data, और ऐसे जो अलग अलग functions हो, marketing and sales and whatever. Now how consulting generally operates is कि एक ऐसे टेबल समझ लो, ठीक है. यहाँ पे तुम्हारे वर्टिकल्स हैं, यहाँ पे आपके हॉरिजॉन्टल्स हैं. Now not at your start of the career, but जैसे जैसे तुम थोड़ा सा टाइम स्पेंड करते हो ना, you will start specializing in one of these boxes. कोई यहाँ करेगा, कोई यहाँ करेगा, कोई यहाँ करेगा, कोई यहाँ करेगा. This is the specialist role that I was talking about the other day. और generally also ये भी होता है कि कोई एक vertical उठाता है irrespective of the industry, they start working in it. कुछ लोग होते हैं जो एक पूरे का पूरा इंडस्ट्री उठाते हैं and irrespective of the function they start and learn A to Z for that industry. So this is how more or less the consulting space works. And the reason for introducing this verticals and horizontal before we go in different type of these companies is basically because some of these, when I start talking about it, you realize that some of these are very specific across these horizontals and verticals, and some of these operates across all of these. एंड दूसरा रीज़न है जैसा कि मैंने अपनी पिछली वीडियो में बताया था कि इट इज़ कॉल्ड द इंजीनियरिंग, or I call it the engineering of corporate world, because if you now see, right, this is like you literally get to work everywhere. हर industry, हर function में आप काम कर रहे हो. So that's why engineering of the corporate world. Now let's move to the companies in the consulting world, and before we start, I just wanted to give you a very quick caveat that right now everybody is doing, I think, almost everything, but the categories that you see on the screen right now is more or less what they used to do traditionally. So सबसे पहले स्टार्ट करते हैं तो स्ट्रैटेजी कंसल्टिंग फर्म्स. अगर तुम्हें नहीं पता तो एक एक्रोनियम होता है MBB, which stands for McKinsey, BCG and Bain. अगर अभी भी तुम्हें नहीं पता है कि ये McKinsey, Bain, BCG क्या है, सो तुम सही जगह हो. बट दीज आर दी, लाइक, I think the most sought after firms in consulting, which makes it like difficult to crack. The quality that they are looking for is very, very different from rest of these folks, and obviously these are the high level strategy makers. So India mein, if they only hire from IITs, or they go to IIM, there will be A, B, C and L, I think, and then ISB. More or less, you find majority people from these schools in India, and Bharat, of course, they only go to Ivy. Then you come to the management and business consulting firms. Now these are the firms which is essentially, they keep calling themselves Big Four. So EY, PwC, Deloitte, and KPMG. Essentially, these were the traditional audit firms. Tax accounting they used to do, but now they also provide consulting services. And this is more or less, they go a deep down, they go a level down than these typical strategy firms. So they do the high level strategy, and they also help them implement those. The third are the tech consulting firms. Oh, sorry, just one more thing. So you also have now, like as I mentioned, right? Like there are other firms like Accenture, LEK. Uh, so these are also the firms that work across all of these. But again, like going back to my definition, so tech consulting firms are the firms that goes like they do consulting, but in tech space they do the implementation along with tech strategy. The firms here are generally TCS, Infosys, Accenture, etc. Now, again, I can't stress this enough. All of these are also doing all of this as well. Right now, in the specialized consulting firms, or also known as boutique firms, these are the folks that will pick one function or two function or three functions, and then they specialize into that. For example, you have BCG is of course there, but BCG has an arm called Inforto. This is their procurement and supply chain. Then McKinsey has Quantum Black. They are their data and analytics. Then you have Argon and Co, which is another supply chain specialization firm. So if you already are aware that this is the topic that interests me, this is where you go. This is more or less the companies in the consulting world. Again, it's a very summarized view. If you want a detailed one, I can do another video just explaining these four. But let's just talk about the roles. Now, the roles that I wanted to talk about are not the different levels. I'm talking about the internal roles. CSS, which means client service staff, and then let's just call it backend roles. An internal role is generally the same. These includes generally, like the I don't know, like reorg staff, internal marketing and sales, and things like that. Then you have CSS, which is the client service staff, and then you have the backend. Now these keep changing. For example, I can give you a very quick definition example of it. So CSS is anything that where you go and meet external clients, right? Backend, as it says, that you do not you are a support team, or you're an extended team to the CSS. Basically, you sit behind the black screen while the CSS people go and meet clients, and you are supporting them with the analysis or presentation or anything. But things change between these two rules. For example, the quantum black that I mentioned here from McKinsey, right? It's CSS, which means it's client facing. If you go to US, or you go to Singapore, or you go to, I don't know, any other country, but the same thing is a backend role when you go to India. Now, another example, and I'm not sure if you've heard about it, but Bain also has its backend or a support team, which is called BCN. Now, BCN, I think now some of its role or some of its team has evolved into a middle support team, which means that some of these have developed that expertise where they have to be present in front of the client along with the CSS. But most of it, I think, still serves as a support team to the front end office or CSS team. So this is more or less the vertical, horizontal companies and roles that you have in consulting, and this is like the fastest I could have explained. In the next video, what I'm going to do is I will try to explain the interview for basically, I think 1 and 2 should be enough. And how do you, like, what are the exact skill set, or what is it that they are looking for when they are hiring people across different levels or different sort of teams. So I think just stay tuned. But if you have any question about the ecosystem of consulting that I covered right now, feel free to shoot a DM, and I should try to get back to you as soon as possible. So let's go.